Hello and welcome back to my Kubernetes series. In this video, I'm planning to upgrade my Kubernetes version from 128 to 132. Before I upgrade my Kubernetes cluster, I already made sure to update all packages on my virtual machines, the master and the 4 worker nodes. With that out of the way, I will use the instructions provided on the Kubernetes website shown on your screen right now. To avoid any major issues, I will start with the upgrade from 128 to 129 and then jump to 130 right after. Although a bit more work, I will be able to see if there are any containers in the cluster that will fail due to the update. That will then allow me to troubleshoot the failed containers one at a time. My Kubernetes upgrade will involve 3 steps. The first step is to remove the dovecot deployment. This deployment is built in such a way that as soon as one container is moved to another instance or another worker node, the synchronization will not work anymore. I have not been able to adjust the functionality of this deployment yet, which is why I will redeploy dovecot once the Kubernetes cluster is upgraded. Step 2 is to modify the repositories which pull the Kubernetes deployment and at the moment point to Kubernetes version 1.28. And the last step is to deploy the Kubernetes version 1.29 according to the instructions shown on your screen. Let's now start with our first step. Switch over to my Kubernetes master and remove the dovecot deployment. We do that by going into our setup folder, then into our dovecot, and we're going to kubectl delete-f dovecot-deploy.yaml. That removes our dovecot deployment. We can check that with kubectl get all-n mailserver, and we can see that our three dovecot pods are in the process of being removed. We can watch that whole process as well. And we will let this whole thing continue running until it's complete. Alright, the dovecot deployment is fully removed. We're going to stop the watch, empty our screen. Let's now get underway with our Kubernetes cluster upgrade. We'll switch back over to the Kubernetes website and scroll down to before you begin. In here, it's mentioned just read the release notes carefully. Make sure to back up any important components. This is a not so important cluster. Please consider that I cannot be held accountable if you lose any data during the upgrade process on your own cluster. So I'm just going to ignore that. Swap is still disabled though. Additional information, you can read that if you would like. Then we get to considerations when upgrading etcd. In here, it is highlighted how to gracefully shut down the kube API server, which will be running while you initiate the upgrade. But to gracefully shut down that kube API server, then wait 20 seconds to let the kube API server finish all the last commands, and then you can start the kubeadm upgrade. I will show this process while upgrading my Kubernetes cluster in a little bit. We will move on to the second step, which is changing the packages that point to the Kubernetes repository 1.28 and replace that with the version 1.29. Following the link changing the Kubernetes package repository, we get the instructions how to adjust our repository to point to version 129 from 1.28. We're going to scroll down and skip these sections here and get straight into how do we adjust these. The recommendation here is to open the Kubernetes.list file, which sits in your apt sources list.d folder, which should show exactly as shown here, and then to adjust that by changing 128 to 129. That is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to switch back to my Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to use Vim instead of Nano, so I'm going to sudo vim etc apt sources.list.d and kubernetes.list. As you can see here, we see that my repository is still pointing to 128. All we have to do is change 128 to 1.29. And we're going to write and quit this file. All that remains to be done is sudo apt update. And we see that the repository key is not signed, which means I also need to pull a new key. Let me do this off screen, and I'll post the link where I got this certificate or the signed key for the version 1.29 of the repository. After a short while of searching, I was able to find the command to download the key again, which is on the installation page of kubernetes.io. I will post a link in the video description and as well here on the screen. The command I had to run is curl, as shown on your screen right now. Once you do that, you get asked, do you want to overwrite the key? Yes, you do. And then you can sudo apt update. And it should run without any issues or problems. As you can see that there are 5 packages upgradable. So let's see. Apt list upgradable. And we can see that we have 1.29.12, which we can upgrade to CRI tools, and all of those packages are Kubernetes related. With that out of the way, let's now first of all empty our screen and then find out what version we can actually upgrade to. There is a command on the Kubernetes website that allows you to identify this version that you can upgrade to. That is not the one. The command is sudo apt cache Madison kubectl. With that command, you get a list of versions you can upgrade to. And as you can see here, we can go all the way from 1.28.0-1.1 to 1.29.12-1.1. To start this upgrade, first thing I have to do is unhold the packages that I froze earlier, as otherwise no upgrade would be done. We do that with sudo apt mark unhold kubectl cancel the hold on kubectl, and now sudo apt update, which we already did, so we're not going to do that. And now we are going to call out the installation of the specific version we want. Install, and then we need -y kubectl equals, and now we can call out the versions, and we still see them on the top, 29, 29.12 dash star. So we're going to get that installed. Wait for its execution. As a last step, I am going to install the hold again with sudo apt mark hold, apt mark hold kubectl. Now with that done, we can verify that we actually can upgrade to 129 with kubectl version. And as you can see here, you have a major of 1, the minor version 129, and the version 129.12. Now we can plan the upgrade, and the command we do use for that is sudo kubectl upgrade plan, which now will run all the health checks. It makes sure that your cluster can actually be upgraded and all its components can be upgraded. And yeah, here you go. It pulls all the information, shows you all the details, which is really kind of nice. In previous versions that was not the case, but now you get a really nice overview of what will be upgraded and what the impacts will actually be. As you can see, based along this output here, all we're upgrading is the control plane. We're not upgrading any components to 129 yet. We want to, but the first things we're going to do is upgrade the control plane, and then we have to still apply all the upgrades to the individual nodes and components. So for now, we're going to go ahead and apply this command. However, we do that with sudo. And we're going to remove everything else, and we're going to let the upgrade run. Alright, the upgrade is complete. That didn't take too long. However, I want to come back to the upgrade command and the considerations that I showed earlier on the website. Before running the command that I highlighted now, sudo kubectl upgrade apply version 129.12, I should have run the kill all-s sigterm kube API server. Sleep 20 seconds and then start the upgrade. That would have allowed a graceful exit of the kube API server. We're going to double check if everything worked well with kubectl get nodes, and we should see that we are still on 128 on the control plane, which is not what I was expecting. So I'll take a quick look and be right back. Actually, everything's still fine. If we run the command kubectl version, we see that our server version already is on 129 and the client version is still on 128, which is totally fine. So we're going to take the next step now in upgrading our Kubernetes cluster. by updating all the packages that need to be updated. We saw that in our list before. If I scroll up a little, you can see that we still need to upgrade the API server, controller manager, scheduler, kubeproxy, and we do and the kubelet of course as well. And we do that here on the master, and we do have to do that on all the nodes as well. By at first, you would have to drain the nodes. Let's start with this one right here, kubectl drain k8s master, and ignore the daemon sets. Now all the pieces should be removed here from the server. Now I can sudo apt mark unhold kubelet and kubectl. I can kubelet and kubectl, and now I can sudo apt install. We're going to do -y kubelet, and we specify its version to 129.12-*, and we're going to do the same for kubectl equals 129.12-*. And now that that's done, we're going to mark a hold on those packages again. As the packages are installed, we can now reload the daemons by sudo systemctl daemon reload, and we're going to restart kubelet. Last but not least, kubectl uncorden k8s master. Was uncordoned. Now let's get the version kubectl. If everything went well, we should see a 129 at least on the master already. Kubectl get nodes, and we do see that on the control plane. Now we got to do the same process for all 4 of the nodes, for the worker nodes, that is. All right, that's quite a process. So now, as we're done with our master node, I'm going to empty the screen, and I'm going to log in into my K8s worker 1. SSH manual at K8s worker 1. My password. And now I will, after emptying the screen, start the process that we've already done before. So here, the first one is sudo apt mark unhold kubeadm. I also have to upgrade the repository, which means I'm going to sudo vim. God, I hope I have vim installed here. Etc apt sources.list.d and kubernetes.list. Yes, I do. Perfect. Now I'm going to replace this with 129. Right and quit. Sudo apt update. I'm going to get the same error message that I got before with the key not properly recognized. So I have to find that command again. Pasting that command, overwrite the key, yes, and update. Here we go. Awesome. Now we're going to install sudo apt install -y kubectl, and I want the version 129.12-*. Once that's done, we're going to set the hold again on this package, so we're not upgrading the package by accident, and mess around with our Kubernetes cluster. Sudo apt mark hold kubectl. Sudo. Now we're upgrading the node. Kubectl upgrade node. Not a control plane. That's good. And now we can go ahead and upgrade the kubelet package with our package manager. And again, now sudo apt mark on hold kubelet kubectl. Sudo apt install -y kubelet. Where's equals? My equal is here. 129.12 * and kubectl in its version 129.12 *. Install kubelet kubectl. That should work. And again, same process. Once installed, we're going to set the hold again on those two packages with sudo apt mark hold kubelet and kubectl. Hold is set. Now sudo systemctl daemon reload and system sudo systemctl restart the kubelet. I think I forgot to cordon the node. Let's check. With kubectl uncordon k8 s worker 1. I think I forgot to uncordon this one. Alright. However, the KS worker 1 should be upgraded as well. So we're going to log back out, back in the master, and now we're going to do get the nodes, and that one was also successfully upgraded. Now you would have to repeat those steps again for KS worker 2 through 4, or however many worker nodes you have. I will do that off camera and not bore you with those details. If you want, you can jump back to the time code that I'm going to indicate on the screen right now and repeat that whole process all over again. Alright, now with all these updates complete, as you can see now, all my nodes are up to the version 129.12, the control plane as well as all the worker nodes, so that upgrade was complete. However, do all containers still work? Does everything still run? Let's verify that with kubectl. The biggest challenge I would see is on my database, so let's check that namespace. Get all-n database, and that one is not running, so I would have to manually restore that, and I think I've shown that in my video in which I deploy that database. Let me go and do that, and once I'm done, I'll be back and we'll have another look. My usual database recovery was successful again. We can pull that up and see that all 3 nodes of my database are running again. It's changing GRA file. It's called GRA state DAT within the first container, which is the bootstrap container, which then takes care of synchronizing with all other nodes. Once that's done, you can see that the database is back up and running and can be used again. All the data is still in there as well. That pretty much concludes the upgrade of my Kubernetes cluster from 128 to 129.12. I will have to go through the same process again for the upgrade to 130 and 131. One issue that I ran into, which you also just saw, was the issue with the database. The local storage which I'm using, which is an iSCSI storage, is considered local, which prevented me from draining the worker nodes, and I upgraded anyways, which then made the database fail. However, once I deleted those 3 pods and let them recreate, everything started working up fine again. With that, the upgrade is complete. I still have to deploy the dovecot stateful set, which I deleted and removed previously, to make sure that I have my mail server, the IMAP inbox, running again. In summary, to successfully upgrade your Kubernetes cluster, you start with your master nodes. Choose one, access that machine, and change the repository to point to the latest version you want to upgrade to. Make sure that the key that signs this repository is also updated, otherwise you will run into the issues that I showed earlier. Once you're refreshed with apt update, you can start by unholding the kubectl package. Once that's done, you can install the latest version and hold kubectl upgrades again. Upon installation of kubectl, you cordon the current node you're on, unhold kubectl and kubelet, install those 2 packages, and mark them as hold again. Once that's done, and you're successful, your master node is up to date. Keep in mind that you have to run through the same process again on your worker nodes. However, you cannot drain your worker nodes from within those virtual machines. You have to drain them from a master or your machine that has access to the master node. The process for those worker nodes is slightly differently. You start updating and upgrading kubectl as described, then you drain those nodes from your master, and then upgrade and update the kubelet and kubectl. Once complete, all your nodes are up to date with the latest version, and your cluster upgrade is complete. You then need to uncordon those nodes again to make sure that they accept containers to run on these workers. That concludes my short video of upgrading your cluster from 1.28 to 1.29. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.